few things that I'd really like to share with you right now. And the first one is my car is possessed. I'm not kidding you. The sunroof goes up and down whenever it wants to, totally unprovoked by me. The heat sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And last night my signals were working, my right and left signal was working. This morning I turned on my car, everything's working but those signals, they're not working at all. And then tonight I'm driving home and my signals are working again. As you know, up until Saturday I still had no ride to Nevada to see B. Howard's concert. And Saturday morning, I'm at the soccer field at 11 o'clock for a commitment that I had for my daughter's game. And it was, I don't know, somewhere at about 20 after 11, possibly somewhere between 20 after 11 and 20 to 12, where I get a call asking me if I could be at the Greyhound bus station. There's a bus that leaves at 1:20. Now, I live in Los Angeles, so to get to the downtown station, to make it there at almost 12 noon on a Saturday, a little shaky, but I hadn't even been showered yet. So I live 10 minutes from the soccer field. I ran home, I took a shower. I didn't put any makeup on, just threw makeup in a bag. And by the way, I didn't know where the Greyhound station was. I actually had to, after showering and figuring out what to wear and what to throw in a bag, to go to Nevada for the day. So I was actually making good time until I was about 4 or 5 exits away from the Greyhound place. And then we were deadlocked in traffic. And I don't know that area well enough to have gotten off the freeway and taken surface streets. So I had to just sit there. And 1:20 came and went. At 1:26, I made it into the bus station, and of course the bus was gone, which was totally, completely frustrating. And I went to my car and I started slamming on the steering wheel and tried to keep myself from crying, and I was very upset. And I think to myself, what can I do to make this right? So I go in, the guy tells me that it's possible I could beat the bus out to San Bernardino. I don't even know how to get out to San Bernardino, so I have to call my husband and ask him, can you Google Greyhound in San Bernardino, because I don't have a phone that has the internet on it. And I've not driven that far, not knowing where I'm going, because driving on the freeways is relatively new for me this year, you know. I was like so determined and so focused, and I've got to get there. So I get on the freeway, and I'm heading out towards San Bernardino, and I'm making really, really good time, and I keep in mind that I'm supposed to be there by 3:45 now, and the directions that my husband gave me, they were right until the very end, where he says get off at exit 75, it should be blah blah blah. So I get off at exit 75 and it's not what it's supposed to be. So I have to run into a convenience store, and I'm telling the guy I need to get to blah blah blah, and anyhow he knew where I was supposed to go, and he actually directed me backwards to where I was supposed to get off, and I made it there just in time. Okay. So now I get into Las Vegas, and I thought I was getting into Henderson, which is where the concert was. I get into Las Vegas at, I don't know, 8 o'clock or so, and he's supposed to go on at 8:30. And there are cabs out there, and they're telling me what the cabs are going to cost to get to Henderson, and I'm like, oh shoot. So I get to this fair place, and I ask 7 different people who work at the fair. And because the reason why I asked 7 different people is because I was not getting the answer I wanted. I'm like, where is the Henderson Pavilion? And they're like, the Henderson Pavilion. Here I am at this fair where he's supposed to be playing at this Henderson Pavilion. And they're like, what are you looking for? And I'm like, well, I came to see B. Howard in concert, and they're like, oh, it's right here. And they're pointing to this little stage set up with a rock band on it and about 40 seats set up in front of it. And I kept saying, this is not it. I've seen pictures of it. When I went to buy my ticket, I saw pictures of it. I've seen pictures on his Facebook of him on an empty stage looking out at this huge auditorium, blah, blah, blah. So I kept saying, okay, so I went to another employee. Where is the Henderson Pavilion? Everybody pointed me to the rock stage. What eventually happened is I asked one of these employees who insisted I should just have a seat and wait for the rock band to end because B. Howard would be going on next. I said, I need to go to the bathroom. Where's the bathroom? So he pointed me in a direction where there was no bathroom. But where he pointed me to, there were two girls standing there, and all of a sudden I start hearing Supermodel, and I'm like, where's that coming from? She says, well, you need a ticket. That's B. Howard, and it's coming from around and down. It was like everything that could be a roadblock in this adventure. Everything tried to keep me from going to that concert. But you know what? I made it, and so I guess I was meant to have been there. But it was growth for me to kind of just leave everything and do things on the spur of the moment. By the way, I put my makeup on a bus, which was really kind of disastrous because, you know, the buses are bouncy. After the concert, when I had a few moments to talk with Brandon, we were in this room that was very brightly lit and mirrors on each wall, and there were two photographers filming while we were talking, and it was hard because, you know, I mean, think about it. I had been on a Greyhound for 5 hours, didn't have time to freshen up. My makeup was put on the bus, and I'm looking at this beautiful face, this absolutely gorgeous face, and then I look at myself. You can't help but not see yourself in the mirror. Ever since I've been involved with liking Michael Jackson, which is basically how I found B. Howard anyway, I've done all these growth things that, you know, I always say, oh, thank you to Michael Jackson, but it's really thank you to God. God pointed me in the direction of liking Michael Jackson and then meeting all these people, but you know, I credit my weight loss to him. But I know it's really God. I credit my being able to drive on the freeways again. Huge. My daughter's 14 years old. I haven't driven the freeway since before she was born. So that's about 15 years that I hadn't driven the freeway, and it's just in this past year that I've been driving the freeway. And the fact that I drove to San Bernardino, which, by the way, I had to leave my car there, and it turned out to be a better place to leave my car, even though it wasn't a great area at all, because had I left it in Los Angeles, in between San Bernardino and Los Angeles, there would have been a couple more stops on the bus. And by the time I would have gotten to my car and been able to drive home, I would have missed her Saturday morning soccer game. But because I went as far as San Bernardino and I was able to get in earlier and then just drive home, you know, I drove home, took a shower, and I was at her soccer game at 8 o'clock in the morning. So all's well that ends well.